All right, everyone, I'm here to show you a great plant-based dinner that you can make, and it's actually a black bean patty. A lot of people will be like, well, I already know how to make a black bean patty. How can I even make this better? They all taste the same. I've got a great brand that I like to buy. All of those are great things, but I'm here to show you how you can actually do it by yourself and actually make it taste better. And I'm going to teach you the tips and tricks that make this probably one of the best black bean burgers you'll ever have. I'm going to use some dairy products. And so if you are vegan and you can't have any of those dairy products, you can substitute with a vegan substitute, or feel free to email me and I can give you some other suggestions as well. There are some really great vegan substitutes out there, so you don't really need to worry if you can't make it with these items. And also, to tell you the truth, you can probably get away with adding more or less of one of the ingredients. So if it's a little too dry, you can add a little bit more mayonnaise or a substitute for the mayonnaise. If it's a little too wet, you can add more breadcrumbs. And so you can play around with it. But there's a few things that you really want to make sure you have ready to go for this. So first of all, black beans. Canned black beans, if you make your own black beans, that's great too. You want a 15-ounce can, so that's about 1.5 cups drained. And so this is the most important step. You're going to dry out your black beans. When you make black bean burgers with a can of black beans, they tend to get wet, and it just feels like you keep adding things to it to firm it up, but nothing really seems to hold it together. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to dry out your black beans when you first get them. You can either do it in your oven, so you can do it at around 350 degrees, and you're just going to dry them until they split, or you can use your microwave. I do it in about, 1 minute full strength, and I lay them on a paper towel. I already took the paper towel off, and then I'll do it in 30-second intervals, okay? And what you're looking for is for each little black bean to kind of split, not each one, sorry, but to have a couple of these black beans start to split. That means they're drying out, and that's exactly what you want. So while you're doing that in the microwave, you're going to get some other ingredients ready. So you can do that again, microwave or your oven. I'm going to take half of an onion. This is going to make about 4 patties, and so 4 small patties, but if you want to make more, you can. So I'm going to peel this. You can double this guy up pretty easily. And then I'm going to take one end off, so that's the frilly end is still holding everything together. So if I hold it, nothing's falling apart. And I'm going to go for a dice. The great thing about this recipe is it's very forgiving because you're going to blend everything. So I'm going to go in, I make cuts on the top, I'm going to go in and I'm going to slice through the top if I dare, and then I'm going to push forward to get like a nice fine dice. The next ingredient we're going to get ready is our poblano chili. So if you've never had a poblano chili, it's really just a robust tasting bell pepper with a little bit of spice and just more flavor. So this is what a poblano looks like. You can find them next to your regular bell peppers, and they're very, very hard. And so if you've ever felt the outside of them, they're rough. And so most of the time people will roast these and then do something with them. We're just going to saute them and add them into our burger. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut through the middle and then peel it. You can use a whole one or you can use half of one, depending on how much of this you really like. It can get spicy. It just really depends sometimes. So what I'm going to do to take care of it, and guess what? If you don't have a poblano, completely okay. Use a bell pepper. If you don't have a bell pepper, use a zucchini. Again, this is just building body for your burger. You can even use a carrot. So I'm going to cut through the middle of it, and it's going to expose the seeds. Now I'm going to just take my fingers and then peel off that little seed packet. And then there's these ribs. If you want, you can go in and peel off the ribs too. So since this poblano is slightly larger, I'm actually going to dice it. I'm going to only use half, I'm sorry. So I'm going to make strips out of it. And then, again, if you notice, I'm cutting on the inside of it. The outside of the pepper is slippery. So you have a tendency to cut yourself more if you do that. And then when you get to the top part, you can make more strips out of that. Again, remembering your claw. Since we're sauteing all of this together, it's completely okay to keep it right next to each other. So I'm going to make a claw and dice ahead. And keep dicing. And then we're going to add our favorite ingredient of all, garlic. Garlic really makes or breaks this. Just kidding. You don't have to add garlic if you don't want to. Again, forgiving recipe, but I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to mince my garlic a little bit finer, I'm actually going to start sauteing this so that I get more robust garlic flavor. Because I like the flavor of garlic, I'm going to add it towards the end of this cooking process. So we're just sauteing this, again, mainly because you don't really want to chew into any raw onion, and you also don't really want to chew into any raw poblano because they can get pretty rough, pretty tough. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of oil in there. I'm going to get these guys ready. Wait for it to get a little bit hot, and then I've got my garlic hanging around right here. So I got 2 cloves of garlic. To mince it, I'm going to push down, take off the end, peel it, usually rolls right out, and one more. And if you don't have any fresh garlic, you can add a little bit of ground or chopped garlic, like the powdered stuff would work too. I'm going to line these bad boys up and go in there and give it a good dice. I added my oil a little too early in my pan. Sorry, you guys. Don't add your oil too early. Wait till your pan gets hot, then add your oil. First of all, it takes longer if you do what I did, the mistake of adding it too early. And the other thing it does is if you've got a really, really nice oil, like say a fine extra virgin olive oil, it actually changes the flavor of it because it's getting too hot. So I'm going to swirl that guy around. There we go. And then I'm going to add my poblanos and my onion in there. I'm going to hold off on my garlic for a little bit while I get all of this other stuff ready to go. Let's talk about what else we're going to add in here, because the goal of this is to give it that mouthfeel of a burger. Not meat, but a burger. So I'm not trying to make any kind of special bleeding burger or anything like that. I'm just giving you an alternative to a good burger. And black beans have that kind of feel that you can get in your mouth. But we're going to add something else too. We're going to add nuts. I'm adding pecans. You can add cashews, you can add almonds, you can add walnuts, pretty much any kind of nut you have at home. Nuts have a tendency to give you kind of a mouthfeel of chewing into meat. It has enough fat in there that it gives it a really nice flavor, and if you've got toasted nuts ready to go, they make things taste even better. So we're going to add pecans just because I like the taste of toasted pecans. I feel like they kind of give a sweetness to dishes, and they also give you that mouthfeel of eating meat. So I'm going to keep stirring that around. Kind of good to go. The onions are just starting to turn translucent, so I'm going to add my garlic in there now too. And we're going to let that saute for a little bit. So we're also going to add feta cheese. Feta cheese, you don't have any, you don't like feta cheese, completely okay. Cotija cheese is also good, so you want like a crumbly cheese, something that crumbles. If you don't have it, just skip it. It's completely okay. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. You might just need to add a little bit more black beans to bind it all together. We're also going to add mayonnaise. So the mayonnaise really acts like the binder for all of this. And so again, if you feel like your burger's a little loose or a little wet, or too little loose, it's probably because you have too much mayo. So you can cut back on the mayo. And then breadcrumbs. And we're using panko breadcrumbs. Panko breadcrumbs are a bigger kind of crumb. So what ends up happening is it can absorb a lot more liquid, and it'll dry out, not dry out in a bad way, but it'll absorb all the extra liquid that you might have inside your dish. Okay, so that's about all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the veggies to soften up, the onions maybe to start browning a little bit, but that's it. So I'm going to turn that bad boy off. All right. And then you're also going to add chipotle peppers. So if you've never had these before, a lot of people buy these and then they have no idea what to do with them. Take a Ziploc bag, store it in a Ziploc bag in your freezer, and every time you need some, just break off as much as you want. Because inside, there are whole chipotle peppers in here. So there's whole ones, and one is really, really spicy. So you only want like half of one maybe for this dish. So I'm just gonna do half of one, and I'm actually gonna put it just so it doesn't get things dirty. I'm gonna put it right inside my mayo because it's gonna go in there as well. So I'm gonna move everything aside now, and we're gonna bring out our food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can try to do this by hand, chop everything up really, really well. So I'm gonna bring my food processor over here. Nice, okay. And then I'm gonna go in first with the largest ingredient I have, which are the pecans. So I'm gonna go in and I just want a little bit of a dice. So you want it about 1/3 of the size of the pecans. Maybe a little too much, but it's, again, all gonna get blended in after a while. So that's ready to go. Now I'm gonna add everything else. I'm gonna add my onions and bell peppers. And if you want, you can even keep that can on your stove because you're just gonna use it to make your burger next. And then I'm gonna add my black beans that are pretty semi-dried, pretty dried. And then my cheese, my mayo, and my chipotle pepper. So if you want it spicier, what I would suggest you do is add a little bit more of the chipotle pepper, if you want. If you don't like mayo, you can use like a Greek yogurt too. A Greek yogurt will bind it. You need something pretty thick though. You can't use regular yogurt. So that's ready to go. I'm gonna use my pulse function because the last thing I want is like a pureed mess. I want a pulse. So I'm gonna pull it. And then I'm gonna open it up just so that you can see everything's coming together. But I want about, you want a texture about the size of 1/3 of the beans now. So you want the beans to be kind of chunky, not too chunky, but good. So I'm gonna push that down a little bit more. All right. A little bit more. So it really depends. I have an old food processor. Some food processors are gonna be finer than this. Others are gonna be a little bit thicker. So it just depends. You just don't want it to be completely pureed. But that's good. So you should be able to see a little bit of pecans, a little bit of the black beans, and then a little bit of the cheese and the poblanos too. So I'm going to keep that over here, and I'm going to start forming my patties. So this recipe, like I said, makes about 3 to 4 patties, depending on what size you like. Put that to the side. And I'm going to grab myself a bowl, because this is the easiest way to portion things out. If you've ever had to portion things out and you just don't know, pour it into a bowl and flatten it out. I'm going to flatten this guy out. And you can do this with your burgers too. The great thing about this black bean burger compared to a regular burger is it's really forgiving, because if you overwork a burger, what ends up happening is it tastes really bad. Tastes like really tough and chewy. This will be super forgiving. So I'm going to cut this in quarters. I'm just going to quarter that. And each one is now officially a burger. So I'm going to go in, scoop it up, and gently just mold it into the shape of your burger. These won't shrink, so you don't have to worry about it falling apart on you or getting small. But they do tend to get a little sticky, so make sure you add enough oil. Be generous with the oil. It shouldn't soak anything up just because everything in here is already cooked, so it shouldn't have that tendency. There is a little bit of breadcrumbs, and so it might get a little bit crispy on you, but I'm just going to go in and keep forming my patties just like that. Nice. You're going to notice, though, it's easier to do this after you're ready to put them into the pan. So I've got my pan ready, and because they do get to be a little bit sticky, they have a tendency to maybe stick to your cutting board while you're getting them ready. But if you think about it, there's nothing in here you can't eat like this, and so if you wanted to, you could even taste to make sure the seasoning's all right. If you notice, I didn't add any other seasoning to it, mainly because the feta cheese in there is enough. I'm using unsalted black beans, but if you even have salted black beans, there's really no need for you to add anything else. I'm gonna wash my hands really quick. All right, so now my pan is nice and smoky. I'm gonna wipe it out, just so that nothing burns. This is the beauty of using cast iron. Cleans really easily, and if you have a well-seasoned cast iron pan, you can just flip it around and cook something else in it. So it's nice and smoky. I'm gonna add a little bit of my oil in there, and then I'm gonna lay my patties in. Let's see if I can squeeze one more, yay! All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way, and then we're gonna get our burger ingredients together. If you wanna add more cheese, go ahead, add more cheese. I'm not going to though today. I've actually only got some tomato, and then I got some lettuce too. So for the tomato, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut slices of it to put inside. You can use whatever tomato you like. I like Roma tomatoes just because I feel like they have more flavor. But I'm gonna take off the end, and then I'm gonna do little slices. And you can let people kind of make, you can even do like a burger bar with this and just let people make whatever kind of toppings they want. And if you wanted to add more onions, you could do that as well. What I find is just a burger with some lettuce and tomatoes, maybe some pickles if you like. But I'm gonna just grab a couple leaves so that they're ready to go when our burgers are done. So that's it. So hold on tight and let's see how these burgers look. If you feel like they're sticking a little bit, completely okay. You can add more oil. Just be gentle with them because they aren't meat. As things heat up, they do have a tendency to maybe fall apart a little bit on you. And that's it. You can even bake these in the oven. So you can even form the patties and then just put them in like a 400 to 425 degree oven for about 5 minutes on each side. Again, nothing in there that can't be eaten raw. Just enjoy it the way that you might like it. Freezes really well too. So you can take the filling and just freeze it, or you can form your patties and then freeze your patties, or you can even cook it and then freeze it. So I think they're almost done. I'm gonna grab myself a bun. I got these really nice Dave's 12 grain. Hamburger buns can be really bad for you. So try to buy something better. If not, a whole wheat bun of some sort would be good too. And if you're into the craze of making your own, go ahead and make your own. So you can toast these if you want. You can grill them if you want. You can even just put them on the pan after you take your burger out. It's really up to you. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could even go far as adding more condiments into here. You can add your ketchup, mustard, mayo, whatever you normally put in your burger. So I'm gonna grab the patty. Beautiful patty, just like that. I'm gonna put it right in the middle. And then I'm gonna layer on my lettuce and tomato, just like that. And there is your burger. No, I'm not gonna do it. See you next time, bye.